One hat, one decision, and one shocking twist. When a hotel guest turned away, came back as the owner, everything changed. Forever. It was a late Thursday afternoon at the Grand Marquis Hotel, a high-end establishment in the heart of Austin, Texas. The lobby was its usual picture of elegance. Polished marble floors, a towering chandelier shimmering above, and the hum of quiet conversations filling the air. The staff, dressed impeccably in navy and gold uniforms, moved with precision. For them, every day was about perfection, until this one. At exactly 3:15 p.m., a man strolled in. He looked unremarkable at first glance. Jeans, a crisp white shirt, and a red baseball cap. But it wasn't just any hat. Emblazoned across the front were the words, "Make America Great Again." The front desk manager, Holly, caught sight of him and instinctively stiffened. She glanced at her colleagues, exchanging quick, uneasy looks. The political weight of that hat wasn't lost on anyone in the room. As the man approached the counter, Holly plastered on a professional smile. "Good afternoon, sir," she began, her voice carefully neutral. "Do you have a reservation?" "I don't," the man replied evenly. "But I'd like a room for the night." Holly hesitated just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough. The man noticed. "I'm sorry," she said, her tone shifting. "We're fully booked at the moment." Her words were polite, but her eyes betrayed something else. A flicker of hesitation that didn't sit right. The man tilted his head, studying her for a moment. His expression remained calm, though his eyes carried a glint of curiosity. "Fully booked, huh?" he murmured. "All right then. Thanks for your time." Without another word, he turned and walked out, his steps measured, his demeanor composed. But as soon as the door swung shut behind him, the lobby erupted into whispers. "Do you think he was serious?" One bellhop muttered to another. "I mean, who just walks into a place like this without a reservation?" "It's not that," Holly said under her breath, her cheeks flushed. "It's the hat. You saw it. It's polarizing. We're not a political establishment." But there was more to it than that. The man's face lingered in her mind. Something about him felt vaguely familiar, like she'd seen him before, but she couldn't quite place where. And as the evening carried on, that feeling refused to go away. But Holly didn't yet realize how familiar he would become. By the time the sun set, the incident with the red hat had become the talk of the staff. At first it was casual chatter in the break room, but as more employees weighed in, the tone shifted to something more curious and uneasy. "I'm telling you, he looked like someone I've seen before," said Mateo, one of the concierge team members. He leaned against the counter, replaying the interaction in his mind. "But I can't figure out where." "Maybe he's one of those political influencers," offered Denise, a junior receptionist. "You know, the kind who stirs things up for attention?" "Could be," Holly replied, her voice betraying a hint of doubt. She hadn't been able to shake the nagging feeling that the man's calm demeanor was hiding something more. By now, word of the encounter had reached the general manager, Mr. Langston. A strict but fair man in his mid-50s, Langston called Holly into his office. His desk was immaculate, just like his tailored suit, and his tone was as sharp as ever. "I heard about the guest you turned away," he began, his hands folded neatly in front of him. "Care to explain?" Holly hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "He didn't have a reservation, and we've been instructed to prioritize guests who book in advance." Langston raised an eyebrow. "And the hat? Did that have anything to do with your decision?" Holly's cheeks flushed. I didn't want to risk any disruption, sir. It felt like the right call at the time." Langston sighed, rubbing his temple. "We're not in the business of making political statements, Holly. Keep that in mind." As Holly left his office, she couldn't help but feel the weight of his words. But it wasn't just guilt that gnawed at her. It was curiosity. Who was that man? And why had he seemed so unfazed by the rejection? Meanwhile, outside the hotel, the man in the red hat sat in the driver's seat of his sleek black Tesla, parked a block away. His fingers tapped lightly on the steering wheel as he gazed at the glowing sign of the Grand Marquis in the distance. A small smile played at the corners of his lips. Inside the car, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and swiped to answer. "They turned me away," he said, his tone light, almost amused. A voice on the other end chuckled. "And you're surprised?" "Not at all," he replied, the smile widening. "But I think I've just found my next project." What happened next would leave the staff questioning everything they thought they knew about the power of first impressions. The Grand Marquis Hotel awoke to its usual rhythm the next morning, with staff bustling to prepare for another day of catering to its high-end clientele. Holly, still thinking about the previous day's events, arrived early, hoping to bury herself in work and move past the lingering unease. But everything changed at precisely 8 a.m. A fleet of sleek black vehicles pulled up in front of the hotel. At first, Holly assumed it was a visiting VIP, a senator perhaps, or a tech executive attending one of Austin's many conferences. But as the car doors opened and several sharply dressed individuals stepped out, Holly's stomach twisted with unease. And then she saw him, the man in the red hat. Only this time he wasn't wearing the cap. Instead, he donned a tailored navy suit, looking every bit the picture of authority. His calm, almost playful demeanor from the day before had been replaced with something far more deliberate. He stepped into the lobby, flanked by his team, and paused in front of the marble counter where Holly now stood frozen. "Good morning," he said, his voice steady but firm. "I believe we need to have a conversation." Before Holly could respond, Langston appeared, his usually composed expression betraying a flicker of confusion. "Sir, can I help you?" he asked, eyeing the unexpected entourage. The man extended a hand, a slight smirk tugging at the corners of his lips. "I'm Elon Musk. As of this morning, I'm the new owner of the Grand Marquis." The words hit like a thunderclap. For a moment, the bustling lobby fell eerily silent as staff exchanged stunned glances. Holly's mind raced. Elon Musk? She couldn't reconcile the man before her with the unassuming figure in the red hat from yesterday. Langston, to his credit, recovered quickly. "Mr. Musk," he said, shaking his hand, "this is an unexpected surprise." Musk's smile didn't waver. "I like to keep things interesting," he replied. "Now, I'd like to meet with your management team. We have some changes to discuss." As Musk and his team disappeared into the boardroom, whispers erupted among the staff. Holly's heart pounded as she pieced it all together. He knew. He knew exactly what would happen yesterday, and he let it play out. For the next hour, tension rippled through the hotel as employees speculated about what was happening behind those closed doors. But one thing was clear. Whatever changes Musk had in mind, they weren't going to be subtle. But no one could have predicted just how much those changes would shake their world. By the time the boardroom doors swung open, the tension in the lobby was thick enough to cut with a knife. Musk emerged, flanked by Langston and the other department heads, their faces a mix of apprehension and forced smiles. Holly could only watch as Musk strolled to the center of the room, his presence commanding attention. He clapped his hands once, loudly, drawing the gaze of every employee in the vicinity. "All right," he began, his voice carrying an air of finality. "There's a new vision for the Grand Marquis." Langston stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Effective immediately, Mr. Musk has implemented a set of new policies designed to ensure inclusivity and professionalism. These policies will be non-negotiable moving forward." The staff exchanged wary glances. "Inclusivity?" Mateo whispered to Denise. "What's he getting at?" Musk answered the unspoken question. "Yesterday, a situation occurred in this very hotel that highlighted a flaw in how we approach our guests. To be clear, this isn't about politics or personal beliefs. It's about treating every individual with respect and dignity, no matter what they're wearing or who they are." His gaze swept over the room, landing on Holly for a brief moment. Her cheeks burned, but she held his gaze, silently willing herself to stay composed. "To that end," Musk continued, "I've revised the hotel's customer service protocols. Effective today, every guest who steps through those doors is to be treated with the same level of respect and care, no exceptions. Additionally, I've instructed the HR team to provide sensitivity training to all staff." The room was silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Some employees nodded slowly while others seemed unsure how to react. Musk then gestured toward Langston. "We'll also be reviewing management practices to ensure consistency with these principles. Because let's face it, if a place like this can't model inclusivity, then we've got a serious problem." Holly's chest tightened. She wanted to believe in the message, But the memory of yesterday's interaction loomed over her like a storm cloud. Did he implement these changes because of her decision? Was this a subtle punishment? Or something else entirely? Musk, seemingly unaware of her inner turmoil, offered a faint smile. Now, I know change can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And trust me, this is just the beginning. He turned toward Langston. Let's get started. I have a vision for this place, and we're not wasting any time. As Musk left the lobby, the buzz of whispered conversations erupted once again. Holly felt a mix of emotions, relief, guilt, and a gnawing curiosity about what lay ahead. But Musk wasn't finished proving his point, and the next step would shake the hotel and its staff to their core. The days that followed were anything but ordinary. Musk's changes rippled through the hotel like a shockwave. From new training sessions to revamped customer policies, it felt like the entire culture of the Grand Marquis was being reshaped overnight. For some, it was invigorating. For others, it was disorienting. But for Holly, it was something else entirely. A constant reminder of that fateful decision she'd made at the desk. It wasn't until Friday afternoon, 2 days after Musk's dramatic return, that the first major test of these new policies arrived. A woman stepped into the lobby, her attire modest but unmistakably tied to a polarizing cause. Holly, stationed at the front desk, felt her stomach drop. All eyes turned to her. This time, though, Holly remembered Musk's words. With a steady breath, she greeted the woman warmly and assisted her without hesitation. The exchange went smoothly, almost surprisingly so, and the guest left satisfied. Holly felt a flicker of relief. Maybe these new policies weren't just about her mistake. Maybe Musk genuinely wanted to make a point about something larger. But that night, everything changed. It was late, close to midnight, when Musk returned to the hotel, this time unaccompanied. Holly, finishing up her shift, saw him approach the desk with a look of quiet determination. He didn't speak right away, instead studying her with an intensity that made her feel as though he could see right through her. Finally, he broke the silence. "You're Holly, right?" She nodded, her throat dry. "Yes, Mr. Musk." He leaned against the counter, his tone calm but deliberate. "Do you know why I bought this hotel?" The question caught her off guard. She hesitated, unsure how to respond. I assumed it was because of what happened the other day." He chuckled softly, shaking his head. "Not entirely. That incident was the tipping point, sure. But I've been eyeing this place for a while. It's iconic in its way. And when I walked in here, wearing that hat, I wasn't testing anyone. I was just curious." Holly frowned, her confusion evident. "Curious about what?" Musk's smile faded slightly. "About how quick people are to judge. You see, I've worn that hat to more places than I can count. Restaurants, airports, even conferences. And every time the reactions are different. Some people ignore it, others get angry, and some go out of their way to make assumptions about who I am." He paused, his gaze softening. "What happened here wasn't unique, Holly. It was human. And that's what I wanted to understand. Why we draw lines where we do. Why a symbol can overshadow the person wearing it." Holly felt her heart sink. I wasn't trying to judge you." "I know," Musk said, his voice kind but firm. "And that's the point. None of us are immune to it. But here's the thing. We can choose to do better. That's why I'm here. Not just to run a hotel, but to create a space where people rethink those knee-jerk reactions. Where respect isn't conditional." For a moment, the weight of his words hung between them. Holly nodded slowly, the realization settling in. This wasn't about her. Not entirely. It was about something bigger. About changing a culture, one interaction at a time. Musk straightened, a faint smile returning to his face. "You're good at your job, Holly. Don't let one mistake define you. Just learn from it." As he walked away, Holly felt a strange sense of relief, mixed with something deeper. She had been part of something much larger than herself, and now she had a chance to be better. But Musk's message wasn't just meant for Holly. The next event would show the world what he truly intended to achieve. By the following week, the changes Musk implemented began to attract attention outside the walls of the Grand Marquis. Word spread rapidly, first through whispers in local circles, then onto social media, and finally into the national spotlight. Articles surfaced with headlines like, "Elon Musk buys hotel after controversial incident," and hashtag Grand Marquis reform started trending on platforms everywhere. Guests began arriving at the hotel not just for its reputation, but to witness the transformation firsthand. Some were curious, others critical, but all were drawn to the bold stand Musk had taken. He wasn't just redefining customer service. He was challenging people to reconsider their assumptions and biases. The controversy surrounding the Red Hat incident only added fuel to the fire, sparking debates on talk shows and across dinner tables. Back at the hotel, the staff worked harder than ever to adapt to the new environment. The sensitivity training sessions, though initially met with skepticism, opened the door to honest conversations. Employees began sharing their own experiences, some admitting their biases, others revealing moments when they felt judged themselves. It was uncomfortable at times, but it was also freeing. For Holly, every interaction became an opportunity to practice what she'd learned. When an older man in a shirt with a divisive slogan checked in, she treated him no differently than she would any other guest. When a group of women wearing brightly colored hijabs arrived for a conference, she greeted them with genuine warmth. And when a young man sporting tattoos and piercings asked for directions to the spa, she offered assistance without a second thought. Slowly but surely, she felt herself changing. And it felt good. But the real turning point came during a press conference Musk held in the hotel's grand ballroom. The room was packed with reporters, influencers, and local leaders, all eager to hear the tech mogul's perspective. Musk took the stage, his demeanor calm but commanding. "I didn't buy this hotel to make a political statement," he began. "I bought it because I believe in the power of change. Too often we let symbols, slogans, or appearances define how we treat people. That's not just unfair, it's limiting. It keeps us from seeing the full picture." He paused, scanning the crowd. "This isn't just about a hat or a single incident. It's about creating a culture where respect is universal, where we don't just preach inclusion, we live it. And I hope that by starting here, in this hotel, we can inspire others to do the same." The applause was immediate and thunderous. Holly, standing at the back of the room, felt a lump rise in her throat. She had been a part of something transformative, something bigger than she ever imagined. But the most profound change wasn't in the headlines or the policies. It was in the hearts of the people who lived it. As the weeks turned into months, the Grand Marquis became a symbol of change, not just for its luxurious accommodations, but for the values it now represented. Guests came from all walks of life, drawn by the story of the hotel that dared to confront its own flaws. And in the process, it became more than a hotel. It became a conversation starter. Holly, once haunted by her decision that day at the desk, found a renewed sense of purpose in her work. The interactions that once filled her with apprehension now became opportunities for connection. She no longer saw symbols or slogans. She saw people. And in seeing them, she discovered something remarkable. Kindness had a way of disarming even the most divisive situations. One evening, as she wrapped up her shift, Holly spotted Musk seated alone in the lounge sipping a coffee. Summoning her courage, she approached him. "Mr. Musk," she began, her voice steady, "I just wanted to say thank you for everything." He looked up, his expression softening. "Thank you, Holly. But the credit isn't mine. I just created the opportunity. You're the one who made the change." His words stayed with her long after that night, a reminder that growth often comes from our most uncomfortable moments. It wasn't about avoiding mistakes. It was about learning from them. Months later, when a journalist asked Musk why he had invested so much time and effort into a single hotel, his response was simple: because change has to start somewhere. Why not here? The Grand Marquis became a case study in corporate ethics, a story retold in business schools and motivational talks. But for the staff, it was more personal. It was proof that even the smallest decisions, like how to greet someone at a desk, could ripple outwards in ways they never imagined. And for Holly, it was a lesson she would carry for the rest of her life. Every interaction is an opportunity to choose respect, no matter the circumstances. As the camera pans out from the vibrant, welcoming lobby of the Grand Marquis, the words linger in the viewer's mind. What will you choose the next time you're faced with the unexpected? If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking narratives. Let's keep the conversation going.